And action.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Film Dispatch. Well, here we are, just a bunch of other people talking about cinema because, hey, that's so original, right? But, try to bear with us, okay? Because we are trying to have some fun, okay? We've had enough bullshit from 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, God knows, since we were born. So let's just have fun. Let's just talk about cinema. Let's just talk about what brings us joy, what makes us gouge our eyes out, and what makes us happy. So let's start this.
Cut, 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 cut.
Well, so hello everyone. For this is our first episode of the film Dispatch, and since it's the first episode, we're gonna take things really chill out here. Not gonna get into too deep of a topic or dissect some things, and we're gonna talk about a topic that gives you more about idea about everyone around here. So for that, we're gonna discuss about the 2020 movies that we saw last year. So you have more of an idea about everyone's taste, though although I don't think that's particularly identifiable from just a list, but still we're gonna try. And so without further ado, I would just like to introduce everyone in the panel right here tonight. We have Rik Bhattacharya. Rick's an avid cinephile, and I know he writes a lot, and that's probably it. But you would like to know more about him from himself. Somak's also he knows everything about fantasy there is to be known. I know him from a long time and even from school. Like we used to make our own magic systems, and that's very cool. And he's also a great photographer. And also we have today Nandini. Nandini is from my college, and she's from the Economic Society. I know that she's the core member of that, and she knows a lot of languages and shit, and she'll tell you more about herself. So I will just let them all describe themselves. And yeah, how was 2021 for you guys? Like, take the floor.
2021
Yeah.
was, well, it was unexpected and it was amazing. There were a lot of things I experienced. What am I saying? What am I saying? This is not, no, no, this is not, okay, whatever. 2021, right? Fine. It sucked. A lot of people died, and I was depressed most of the times. But I have no. This is not working out. I
Let's
watched a
not
lot of films. Okay,
actually.
okay, 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 okay. I
Yeah.
got it. I watched 421 films in 2021, and I think that means it's pretty. It was pretty good for me. Yeah, that's all I can say about 2021.
421, like that's a record, I think.
Yep, yep.
i
I'm
i
gonna
think
break it this year.
I don't think I have done more than 300 ever. Okay.
300 is
300?
pretty good. 300 is pretty
You
good.
Okay,
are on
300 I
the
think I have done.
300, 400
300 thing I think I
movies?
have done, but I don't think I've ever touched 400. Okay, let's go to
Oh,
Sumak.
My other name is also Khilari 420, so that's what I'm aiming for. Yeah.
yeah,
Touche,
that's
touche.
a. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Film Dispatch. I am Somak Mitra. I'm just here to make sarcastic comments. That's it. I have no other existence at all. I am mostly depressed in my home, sleeping all day. And yeah, that's everything there is to know about me. Yeah. Nandini, you can take it off.
Thank you, Shoma. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Soham, for that wonderful description of me that I know languages and shit. But yeah, 2021 for me, I think it was better than I can't say if it's better or worse than 2020 because I remember that 2020 was the year when I just got a lot of freedom. Yeah, even though things were really bad out, I know I'm very fortunate to have spent such a quality time with my mom. And actually, both me and my mom are very avid movie watchers or whatever. So I remember last year was like us just, not caring about the schedule much. We just watched movies till whatever hour of dawn we could. And then, yeah. So, yeah, that's why I'm excited to join this podcast show. That's
Great.
pretty much
On
it.
camera.
Yeah, on
On
camera.
camera.
On camera.
Yes. Not off camera,
I
only on
hate
camera.
cameras when US. 2021, I think I was a time of like confusing times because 2021 was just over and we had that hope that things were gonna get better, but they weren't. In terms of movies, though, I think things got a lot better last year as compared to 2020. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we're doing
True,
this,
true, true.
which is a good and bad in a lot of ways. Like if we were doing this episode in 2020, I think I would have a lot more indie small budget movies in my list because those were the only movies that were coming out because all production was halted. And 2021, I think we sort of had a back to normalcy. We just had Spider-Man No and Home that blew the box office again, and I think movies are finally making a comeback. So we have a lot of movies to choose from this year, so such an episode like this is possible. Also, like, to it's 2022, but that confusion is still out there. Kind of the reason we are doing this episode still not IRL, even though we all live in the same fucking city. Also, though I am currently in Iraq, is like that's the reason. I couldn't travel back
Yeah, yeah.
to Earth today because, like, my ship has broken down. Also, the if you can see Shai Hulu this out there is causing some problems. So yeah, currently,
Yeah,
SS in the comments.
I'm living in a
let's hope
second
by the
generation
next episode I
Hobbit
am able to
house.
get back to Earth. Also, Somak is stuck in
Yeah,
Yeah, of
yeah.
course.
Hobbiton, and Hobbiton, as far as I know, is like really pretty. So why would you come back to Kolkata after that?
I,
So yeah,
May the
I'm
understandable.
force
not.
be with you.
Yeah, stick with us in this virtual episode for the first time, man. We will eventually get you more interactive and better episodes. But yeah, it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is only the beginning.
So what movies or shows disappointed you in 2021? Like things that not necessarily were the worst thing that you ever saw, but you were like, I had hopes for this thing and they completely fell through. So I personally start myself, like the Cowboy Bebop show. Now I know live action adaptations of
Oh,
animes don't work, but the Cowboy Bebop thing was, it has everything, and I'm saying disappointing. It was not the worst thing ever because I think there's a lot of good things about it, and that's the part, that's why it is disappointing. Like Jonchu is such a perfect Spike, and it has the same music. It has more music by Yuko Sano. It is Shinichiro Watanabe's creation. He is involved as a
yeah.
producer. He's not directing. And the thing
He is
is,
involved.
they get it. Like Spike's story is actually as good as the animation, I will say. And John Chu does a perfect job. But it's the problem of, okay, the action scenes first of all don't work because there is something about animation that you cannot replicate in live action. Like the thing about Spike is that he is effortless in his fighting. He doesn't want to fight. He's just effortlessly good and he's going through. And you cannot do that. Like John Cho, when he's doing that kick, he has to be put in effort because that is a hard thing to do for him. So that part I understand. But the problem with the show is it is of two identities. One, it wants to be a good show. It wants to tell its story. That is the Spike storyline they're gonna do. But the problem is they also want to please the fans. So what happens is, like,
Yeah.
it is of two identities. One part is this really serious drama about a space cowboy that has a horrific past he wants to run away from, and he wants to avenge the death of his girlfriend and stuff like that, and it is a really good storyline. But because Cowboy Bebop has such fantastical elements that people are fan of, and they wanna see, like, they wanna see Jet, they wanna see Faye with that fan service costume, and they try to give
And
you that, so the tone never matches. That's why it's it's the end product sucks, and that is really disappointing for
and
me.
yeah, and the visuals too. If you like really compare with the anime and the life adaptation, the visuals of the anime, which was made in I guess 90s, it did not like even match up to its like 90% or even 80%.
Yeah, exactly.
Visuals,
I'll tell you what it was
yeah,
like. It was like they wanted to tell only Cowboy Bebop is an episodic show back when that was a thing. We do not have those anymore.
yeah,
Which I personally do not like at all because
yeah.
I prefer episodic
I also,
shows way more than a single storyline show. Especially when
yeah,
there's
the
like
arcs,
20 to 26 episode shows. Like
yeah,
10 episode Netflix series is fine, but when it's more, I like it to be more episodic. And they completely ditch that for the Netflix format, and that doesn't work. So what happens is, like, you get a, it's like Seinfeld but on space, in space, and that is not what Cowboy
yeah.
Bebop should be. So that's one thing that really disappointed me. Okay, I will not talk about it
Yeah,
more because I have a lot of complaints. But so let's just move on.
yeah, that's a lot of complaint.
Yeah, and I didn't
Yeah.
even start.
If we had to talk
Uh,
about Cowboy Bebop's live action, we would have done a 4 hour discussion
Yeah,
on that only.
exactly.
Yeah, we
It is
went it
a
quite fast.
long. There are too many things to talk about it.
yeah, about animations, can I talk about something
Yeah,
that
sure, man.
last year, last year it blew my mind was a Star Wars Vision, the
Star Wars
series
Visions
in
was
the
amazing. Star
Disney
Wars
Plus.
Visions was amazing. Like the
It
anim,
blew my goddamn mind.
the black
Each
and
and
white
every,
episode.
yes, the first or second episode
Yeah,
was that, I
second I
guess.
think
The
it.
first episode. No, it was the first
Okay,
episode, the
yeah,
black and white
the
episode.
Jedi, the Sith warrior. That
Yes,
was
yes.
amazing. That it just blew my mind when I saw that animation.
The Star Wars Visions episode is a collective of different storylines. Each episode is different stories, and each episode is directed by legendary anime directors or Japanese directors on their own style. Like each episode is different styles. First episode is black and white. Second episode is like new generation anime. Third episode is like 90s anime, 90s anime style. It was a project of Star Wars. Like
Yeah, it
they
was like
wanted to do this for a
back in
long
2000s
time.
when the Wachowskis made that animatrix
Uh,
series. It's the same thing that Disney is doing right now. Also, the best part is
but
that Star Wars is inspired by that old anime and samurai aesthetic
uh,
that Kurosawa had,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
that
yes,
translates fantastically when they do it in anime, Japanese
each and
animation.
every director in that series brilliantly did it. Like when I watched it, in first episode I literally cried because of the animation style and the direction. Mane, if you haven't watched it, I will make sure I get you pirated download so that you can watch it.
It's
I
on
don't care.
it's on Hotstar. It's on Hotstar.
Cut.
If you're talking about animation, I will be really amazed if I don't mention Arcane for 2021 because Arcane
Yeah,
was fantastic. Like it's peak fantasy storytelling and it's
yeah.
animation that like you've never seen before. It's like when I saw Spider-Verse, I was blown away by the animation, and I think Arcane has the same level of animation. It's a mixture of 3D and 2D styles along with video game style animation, and it's done by a French animation company. And it took them like 6 or years or something to do this animation project. And
Yeah.
also that you can tell that it is French animation, by the way. Every character is very sexy and all. And there are all
No, no, you
homoerotic
can
tones throughout the series.
you
And
cannot compare erotic with Japanese one, bro.
yeah, I know,
They,
I
they
know.
don't care about
I know. But still,
PG-18.
Arcane is fantastic, especially for a show that is based on a video game. Like
Yeah,
I would say it's like the top 5 shows for last year for me. It was so good.
yeah,
Like third
yeah.
episode made
Enough.
me cry. I think the way it ends, you will not be able to stop watching after the third episode. So if you haven't seen Arcane, that will be another recommendation from me.
Yeah, enough of the animations. It's
Yeah,
getting
okay.
too. Yeah, Nandini,
Disappointments.
you can. Yeah,
Nandini, what
yeah.
were
Sorry,
you disappointed
disappointments.
by
Just
in 2021?
yeah. No, no. You can
Um,
start off with what you actually liked. Also, it's not about you can all
no,
start about disappointments.
I actually do have a few things in mind about what disappointed me. But well, I don't watch a lot of I don't watch anime at all. I'm very embarrassed to admit, but I
No, no,
don't. I
I
really
don't
want to get
either.
into
no, no.
it.
It's not about an anime. It's all
I
about
don't watch
No, I
anime
everything.
know.
either. Like I watch only one season things that are very old. I don't watch any of the new stuff and anything that runs more than 2 seasons.
Oh,
Okay.
you're missing out. You're
I
missing
know, I
Probably
out,
know.
after this.
buddy.
I don't have the time though.
Probably after. Yeah, probably after this discussion, I'll probably watch Arcane first because
Yeah,
that seems
Arcane you
interesting.
must. Arcane you must.
Okay, so talking about disappointments in 2021, well, I think I would select a genre that disappointed me the most. I think I was expecting a lot of good horror films this
Yeah.
year. For
Okay.
example, yeah, so for example, last year I watched this amazing horror. I don't know if a lot of people liked it, but I personally liked it. It was called Oh, sorry, it was called Ready or Not. Sorry,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Ready or Not was amazing.
Oh,
Samara Weaving.
yeah.
yeah, and I kind of
If you
like
said you
those
like
kind of.
Ready Player One, we would have a long conversation. We're going to have a long conversation right now.
No,
I was I'm so
we would
sorry.
have gone with you with in therapy right now.
Yeah.
I'm so
It
sorry.
has The
Yeah.
Shining in it,
So
so it counts.
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. That was the, what am I saying? Anyway, so yeah, I think that disappointed me a lot. Then again, oh sorry, that was, I'll start again. So yeah, horror were disappointing for me. For example, I liked Ready or Not, but this year I think I was expecting the next installation of this thing, the Conjuring
Yeah, that.
universe, to be a bit interesting, but
Mhm.
the devil made me do it was not particularly something I was looking forward to. I mean it. I was looking forward to it, but when I watched it, I was like, okay, they could have done a lot better, a premise with the story, but they were. I think it was more like a dramatic. How do you prove in the court that ghosts exist and stuff like that? It became a lot about moral stuff. Then there was, of course, Malignant, which when the movie started with this dark theme that okay, she's traumatized and stuff, I thought actually there's going to be something very good about it, but then something popped out of her head and then I just started
I
laughing
had
like
a lot of fun with Malignant. Like the first scene when it's like a close up on her face and she's like, "Let's kill this cancer." And I knew this was gonna be a funny movie, and I was totally in from that moment.
and that jail
I
scene, like
laughed like hell in like the last 30
I
minutes
was
in that
still I was
prison break.
still rooting. I was still rooting for the film till the last moment, and then the jail scene came up,
Yeah.
where she just goes gaga on everyone, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I am so like I'm done. And
That scene was
yeah,
amazing for me.
then I think another. I don't know if it's a comparison or not. It's not a very good comparison, but I remember watching Don't Breathe a few
Hmm.
years ago. I don't exactly remember, and I was actually scared with the
Mhm.
whole thing about about a blind man being so horrifying and all. I was scared by it, so I haven't watched the new one, but I remember another movie like that. I watched it around the same time. It was Quiet Place, and I was not very happy with the
Same.
second part of
Same
Quiet
here.
Place. Like I think John Krasinski's character in the movie was a very integral part to it, and they just killed his character off in the first 10 seconds. I think that was that sort of the glue that was holding the story together, and they just it's my personal opinion. I really
No, I
liked
agree with you actually about that one.
yeah, and I really liked how they played out the rest of the horrifying moments. Like, okay, what happens if I go into a cylinder without oxygen for a long time? And yeah, that's horrifying. I'm taking oxygen from an infant, and yeah, whoever dies first, whatever. That's yeah, that's scary. But then I don't know, it had something missing. So yeah, I was very disappointed with horror this year.
Yeah, mainstream horror mostly. I don't really remember anything that I saw. I would like to mention Censor though, because it was a movie that I was really wanted to put in my top five list that we're going to talk about later, but unfortunately I couldn't find any space for it. And so that is a movie I would recommend if you get the time. Please watch Censor. It's like a really low budget movie. It came out in Sundance and it's made by a woman. She made a 7-minute short film about the video nasties, and that movie eventually became, she got some funding. Very, it is a very low budget movie, and she was able to do this feature length movie. Although because of the low budget, this movie still is only like 1 hour 10 minutes. She didn't have money to make it longer than that. It is only 1 hour 10 minutes. That's barely a feature length movie, but it is amazing. You can tell that they don't have money because at the sometimes the picture quality is not as great, the screen is bleeding and all, but at the end it's a very interesting story, and it's the kind of horror that I personally like because it's not really about the horror of it. It's about a woman who is a censor during the 1980s London, and that was the time of the video nasties. If you are aware of film history, video nasties was a thing that was happening because in the 70s and 80s there was this low budget horror movies coming out, and the people were worried that the children would watch those movies and they would be fucked up in their head and they would start doing crazy things. So like
Yeah,
still
that
into
did
this,
not
like violence in
age
video
well.
games, anime, and people are still worried that they violence in movies causes real life violence, which is absolutely bullshit because I don't
Blue
think
whale.
that is a stupid argument people throw me.
Oh.
So the lead character is someone who watches movies for violent scenes, and she has to censor them out before she releases movies. But she recently has released a movie that caused a person to rape and kill another woman. Like the news is going around like this, so that's why she's under a lot of pressure. But also she has a lot of personal trauma. Like her sister is very mysterious, that her sister died somehow in when they were young, but she believes that she is still alive, her sister is still alive and somehow out there. And she receives this movie that she has to censor and pass with a certificate that is somehow about her sister's disappearance. Like the plot is the exact same as how her sister disappeared. So she is convinced that the director who made this movie is the kidnapper who took her sister that day. And that's how the mystery starts. And the end is fantastic. It's not an end that, like, if five people see the end, four will hate it, one person will only like it because it has no answers. It completely transcends reality, and she almost goes to another plane and becomes like, it's like the end of Shining. It becomes almost like she has lived that level of Jack Torrance, and she is, I will not try to, I don't want to spoil it. Just watch it. You need to watch it to
We are
experience
already
it.
spoiled. Go
We
ahead.
No, it
are
is no.
exactly. I wanted to say that we are
We are
already.
already
Yeah.
No,
spoiled. Go
We
ahead.
know the storyline. We know the characters, and
this is only the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Oh, then okay, stop it.
I
is it?
haven't told you anything that like this is only the establishment. Like this is the setting. This is happening now.
Oh,
She has to solve the mystery.
wow.
Like
So yeah, watch it.
he gave us a gist like behind books like that.
Yeah, like it's like the setting. Like it is also a very meta commentary on horror because it is set in the video nasty era, and there were actually movies made back then which are really really not appropriate if you watch them now.
Yeah,
And it has a
yeah.
commentary about that, about sexism in like workplace back then. Like it has that the Silence in the Lambs aspect to it. Like if you remember Silence in the Lambs, like how she is treated throughout that movie, it is almost the same dynamic going on in this movie as well. So yeah, that would be
Oh,
a recommendation from my side. Okay, now Rick, you
that
have been
is.
quiet for
Yeah,
a
now
long
Rick,
time.
Yes.
Time for you
go
to
on with
speak.
your
Disappointments
disappointments and
from
enjoyments.
2021.
Yes.
Well, the first has to be Eternals because
Same.
I believe
Oh,
I was most hyped person about Eternals because I loved Chloe Zhao's Nomadland. I watched it
no, no,
twice and I
the
cried twice.
cast hyped it up. Look at the cast.
Yeah, see,
That's a
I didn't care about the cast. Honestly, I didn't care about the cast. I saw Chloe Zhao and I was like, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be amazing. This is going to be at least 2 hours, 30 minutes. It's going to be long. It's going to be expansive. And of course, I love Richard Madden. I love Jon Snow. I love these people. I love Angelina Jolie. I mean, come on.
and who
But
doesn't love her?
but I mean, it's so bland. I mean, 2 hours,
Then
38 minutes was not enough to make people convinced about these characters. It was so unnatural. And
he
I mean,
was
let's not even talk about the Bollywood part. I mean, I mean, really, I love Kumil Nanjani. I love him,
I
but
love him. I was actually most excited to see him in the
he
movie
sucks
out
in
of all people.
dancing. That's not how people dance in Bollywood.
But
No,
I will say that is
we don't
Chloe
suck.
Zhao's fault, like because he
yeah.
particularly said when signing the contract, because there was a Bollywood scene in the script, he was like, I cannot dance, so I will not dance. And to sign him on, they said to him that okay, you don't have to dance. But on shoot day, Chloe Zhao suddenly came up to him with that scene and
Yeah.
was like, you have to do this now, and he had to learn that choreography in one day. So I don't blame Kumel at all for that scene. It's like, why would you
But
do that?
like who
Like
choreographed this? I
Yeah,
mean, is
exactly.
that even a
no,
choreography?
no.
I don't know.
I mean,
The most disappointing is that he made himself bluff like a Hulk, and then they made
yeah,
him dance. Not even a proper fight scene. They
Eternals
didn't give
actually
him. I
pissed
mean,
me
yeah.
off
No, no.
even before the
in the
movie
last
started.
fight scene between all the Eternals, he was even not even there to fight properly. Like
Yeah, you make him buff and then you make him a comic relief. So that's kind of yeah.
yeah, the
I mean,
best
I
MVP
thought he
of
would
the
do something
Eternals was
seriously.
the Butler.
Haha.
Yeah.
Butler of yeah.
Oh,
The
he
guy
was the
from
best part of the
he was
film.
the best part
Karun
of
was
the
the
Yeah.
best
movie.
part of the film.
Karun was the main
Yeah.
character of the movie.
I will tell you what I didn't like about Eternals. when the movie begins, there's like that scroll text, and
Yeah.
I personally don't mind that. I think Blade Runner does a good job with it. Star Wars is always does a
Star
fun
Wars.
fun job with it. But the Eternals opening text is so bad. It is so clunkily written. Like you want a multi-billion-dollar movie, get a good writer. I didn't understand what it was what was going on in that page itself. Like I was confused throughout what is the mythology of this thing, and the world building did not make sense to me. Like
No, it
there are
didn't. It
Nah,
really didn't.
there are
still now I don't
celestials. They
understand
put
what is happening actually.
baby celestials in
Yeah.
planets. Like it doesn't make
At
any
the end of
sense.
yeah, at the end of the film, I felt like the whole thing is a paradox because
Huh.
the same man who is building universes is actually making sentient beings to destroy it. So how does any of that make any sense? Like I don't see if it makes any sense. And then the world is and when you have enough intelligent beings on that planet, you just destroy it to absorb energy to make 10 other planets. Where does it end? Just
Actually, the Marvel comics, which describes the Eternals backstory, is much more descriptive and like you can understand actually what is happening in the multiverse.
I'm
The
not really a
Eternals
big
are always a
Eternals fan
mystery,
or
like
anything, but I will
yeah,
tell you this: like it is the same problem with Zack Snyder that did with like Steppenwolf and stuff like that, because these are Jack Kirby's creation, Eternals, New Gods. He liked this mythological creatures, and they are fun comics. They are vibrant with color. They are written in a tone same as Thor Ragnarok. This was not a guy trying to take mythology and put it then do it seriously. He was on acid and he was just putting crazy shit out there and having fun with it. So the tone of this kind, like Eternals, cannot be serious, like because the world of it is so ridiculous. It is
yeah,
absurd. It is not. So I think like the approach that Zack Snyder or Chloe Zhao was taking with these characters is not really like, I don't know. Personally love serious comic book movies, but I think they should be limited to certain characters. Like X-Men,
Yeah. And
do it
certain
serious.
themes.
X-Men
Yeah.
has themes to be serious. Batman, do it serious, but not Eternals. Like it is a ridiculous concept.
Yeah.
Eternals, like you don't even know it is like for laughing or just for darkness. Like there is no actually distinguish between that it is a serious or it's a
Yeah, because the darkness is
comedical
actually
comic.
funny.
It
Yeah.
is just there
Because
to
there's so many
support
things
the
about the movie that doesn't
Avengers.
make sense. Like when they're on that ship and
Yeah,
suddenly the first dialogue, Cersei speaks in British accent. I'm like, what? Like
yeah,
And
yeah.
she
they
That
have
says it.
British
I
accent
noticed that
in
actually.
space. Wow.
Karan! Did you get that? I did, sir.
so yeah. Best movies that I watched in 2021. I think it's very subjective for everyone. It would differ as in what Soham has watched, what Rick has watched, what my taste is, what their taste is. So I didn't even select five. I selected three movies that I really enjoyed. Really, it really touched me. So the first one I would start with is Spencer, by Pablo Larraín, and why it touched me was because Diana has sort of been an icon for my mom since she was a child, and it just passed on to me generationally, and so I was always really borderline obsessed with her. So I was really looking forward to see how Kristen Stewart, makes her impression of Lady Diana, because primarily because she's an American actress, and I've seen that it's difficult for American people to portray British people more than the other way around. So
Yeah,
I think even in her interviews and everything, she spoke a lot about how it was very, I don't know, they had to build up a lot of their own story because their main source was not present. Like they could not draw upon from real facts. A lot of the story was made up. Particularly what I enjoy in cinema is when you can portray something which is going on in your mind, but we can't see that in real life. That's what cinema is allowing us to do, to portray what's going on in our minds. So I think Spencer really achieved a really great deal with that. They really showed what goes on through a woman's head when she is, losing it, in a very simple um phrase. So yeah, I mean, you just want to take off your pearls, break it down, and gulp it with your soup and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that they put a they put a lot of attention to the details in the movie. They wanted to show it like one of those old films when they had interviews of Lady Diana. They had a white film over the like the screen. They have a white filter sort of a thing going on with the whole movie, and I think that really added to the whole aesthetic of the royal culture or whatever. Then there was a lot of um like yeah, so mainly that's what I mean. Even though they did not know what actually went on in, say, the pool scene with between Lady Diana and Charles, but they actually managed to make it seem like an actual marriage problem, and how she must have reacted to that situation. So I really like that they did not they were not trying to say that Lady Diana was insane, but they actually showed it somehow. So yeah, and hats off to Kristen Stewart for acting in that. So yeah, that's about Spencer. The second movie that I really enjoyed, it was actually recommended. It is actually my mom forced me a lot to watch it. So it was Green Knight. It was by
Yeah.
David Lowry.
Yes.
So when I started watching Green Knight, I felt like I've never seen a lot of movies like Green Knight. The sort of storytelling it has, the sort of the direction of the camera, and how they go about the whole story. I mean, it's very derivative. You have to understand what's going on if you actually pay attention to the story. So at first it felt vague, and then it slowly gets good as slowly as you get more invested in the story. I personally felt like, okay, what is it? I mean, why is he? I don't know a lot about, you know, like Arthur and his knights. I've only watched the BBC's adaptation of Merlin, and it was a very comic series. So this was a very dark take on um, this film. So it started like this fairy tale where, like a fairy tale telling of the story, like with the inscriptions and everything, and that sort of what do you call it, metaphorical, and giants walking around, and you have
Yeah.
these old mansions and princesses, and all those sort of kings, and actually a green knight who's sitting at the end of the story to test your moral more than your courage. So I think that's what I took from the movie, that yeah, even with the dark sort of the flow of the movie, you can actually end it with something that was very like, okay, so that's what happened, so that's how it is. He's not actually going to take his head. That's just sub there. That's just, you just have to understand that part. So yeah, I enjoyed Dave Patel in that. And the last movie that I really the third movie that I really liked for some reason. I don't know if a lot of people liked it, but it was Little Fish, and it was by this person named Chad Hartigan, and it had a very like what is going on in our life right now, like a pandemic sort of a situation, but instead of having a life-threatening like breathing problem, you have something which is more essential. I think a lot of people would agree is our memory. What if you lost your memory instead? What if you woke up one day and you are unable to recognize who your mother is? Like, I like how they showed it in the movie, like how you can actually understand the process of forgetting. For example, I think in Anthony Hopkins, in Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of the father, they showed like actually how he was forgetting, he was not recognizing Olivia Colman. It was actually played by some other person, and that's how you understand it. Oh, he's not even being able to differentiate between who he knows and who he
Yeah.
doesn't. That's how Little Fish does that, because the husband one day he wakes up and he's literally unable to recognize his own wife, and that's how it goes. I mean, even when the movie begins and then when the movie ends, it's like a full circle. You understand that, okay, so that's how it begins like literally out of context. You would not understand why they show this particular scene, but when the movie ends, you then understand that, okay, so that was the connection with the first scene of the movie. So yeah, I like those kind of movies which actually brings you to a full circle at the end. And yeah, it's actually very it's a very real life thing. that when you have such a pandemic going on where you're forgetting everything, your whole identity, you forget your whole identity. So how do you overcome that, or how do you live through that, and what lengths would you possibly go to avoid that, you know? So yeah, that was my top three for this year. Think that pretty much sums it.
Rick, start with your number five.
Okay.
Okay, so I've picked five films from the best of 2021, and my number five pick goes to The Power of the Dog.
Okay, okay.
It is, I mean, what can we even say about this film? It's so well written, it's so well shot, and it's so well acted. I mean, every single department in this film is just absolutely phenomenal. The actors are incredible. Johnny Greenwood's this menacing, melancholic score, and Jane Campion's brilliant writing and direction. It's phenomenal. So it should get a lot of love from the Oscars this year. So I'm expecting a lot of awards.
Okay, coincidentally, my number five is also The Power of the Dog. So we have a bit of an
Yeah.
overlap
Yep.
here, but it's obvious. Power of the Dog is amazing, and it's a really unconventional film. Like when you think of an Western, this is the exact opposite of what you imagine. And Benedict Cumberbatch is like outstanding, and like the pathos he brings to the role, like this moments of quiet where he's just reacting to stuff happening around him, and you can just tell the pain he's carrying around. And that's the entire movie. Actually, it is about bottling up emotions within you. There's everything that is happening on screen, there's like layers. Like it's never the
Right.
thing that the themes of the movie are never said out. They're always happening in the back, and the characters, which is very not cinematic, they do not talk about their emotions, and they are inhibitive of expressing themselves.
Right.
And that is something you do not want in movies, because you want those big scenes in movies where they are, when
Exactly.
you think about big movies, there are those big moments of crying, of joy, of laughter, and none of that is presented. It's all a constant of just trying to express something that you can't. And that goes to the
Yeah.
theme of sexuality in it,
Yeah.
and of the theme of power in it, everything. This writing of it is also like really unconventional. Like scenes end before they reach their high point. It's structured as a 5-part drama. It is, but the 5 parts, they are not the 5 acts how screenplays are structured. It is a very different structure. Like when the movie begins in that bar scene, you are like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to watch this movie. It's like it's going to be like really
Yeah.
homophobic, uncomfortable movie. But it doesn't go there. It goes completely different. Like if after every part, if you're like, okay, this part is going to be about this thing, it is not. It changes tracks and it keeps you on your foot, and it is an amazing movie. So yeah, Power
I
of the
mean,
Dog.
let's the fifth act, the way,
Yes,
the scene transitions, they're having this conversation in the barn, they're making the rope, and it suddenly cuts to, Benedict's character being, it's his funeral. And I was so shocked. I mean,
that's what I
they didn't
mean.
even show the way he died.
When you
It's
write a
so crazy.
screenplay, you have to have a flow of moments between scenes, and the scenes are supposed to, like, they like, I'm only Jane, someone like Jane Campion would be given the permission to make a movie like this, and also for a studio only
Yeah.
like Netflix. Like nobody
Yeah.
is like, it is a script that if you take it to a normal producer, they would just cancel it. Like this is not
I
how you
mean,
write.
this film is the definition of show don't tell.
Yeah,
It's done in a
exactly.
brilliant way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well,
so
The
Mark,
number
number
four.
four. Yeah, Rick.
My number four pick is Sardar Udham, directed by Shujit Sarkar. I think
I need to
it's
watch
a
that
really
one.
essential Indian film, and it should be watched by every single person, not just in India but throughout the world. I think in the film industry we are at a point where both Hollywood and Bollywood are obsessed with making these biographical dramas, these biopics. And every single year we'll see a major biopic starring a major A-list star with a major A-list director. So when this movie was announced and when I saw the trailer, I wasn't that excited because I know how most biopics are at this point. There's the origin. There are some, unnecessary songs. There's a forced patriotic overtone to showcase how much of a Deshbhakt you are, and then it ends with a happy ending or on a high note. But Sardar Udham, it's not even though it's based on this revolutionary who was a very tribal part in the in Indian independence, Sardar Udham Singh. It's in no way can you say that it's like a conventional patriotic film or a conventional biopic, because it just breaks down the structure. In the first 15 minutes, we already know what Sardar Udham did. That he murdered this particular hold on. He murdered Dwyer, the one who was at the head of the operations behind Jallianwala Bagh massacre. And he just did it within the first 15 minutes. In a normal conventional biographical drama, you'll see that at the end, as to showcase his heroism, and there the background score goes, and it's beautiful. But that beautiful moment is not created; it's raw. The way he murders him, there is the silence of it. The silence, it pains you. And throughout the runtime of 2 hour 42 minutes, it is exhausting to watch it, especially the last 30 minutes, because the way the Jallianwala Bagh massacre is being depicted, I think Shujit Sarkar did it in such a brilliant way. I can't expect any other director to do it the same way. So yeah, that's my number 4 pick.
Bakshi?
I'm really excited to watch that. I just haven't had time for some reason to just sit down and take it in. I just want to set aside a day for it, like because I know it will have a heavy toll. My number 4 is Titan or Titan. I don't know what it's called. And okay, so Titan, it's crazy, it's bizarre, it's weird, and I am someone who watches a lot of weird movies, and no, you are not prepared even if you watch those weird movies. It is weird. If you ask me what it is about, I will just, if I tell you in one line, you will not watch it because the movie is about a girl who fucks a car. And you're like,
Yep.
what is
Yep.
that? And but it is it is really not about that. Like, okay, it begins like that. Okay, like she has this origin story of like she had an accident, that's why she has a piece of titanium in her head, and that's why she has this weird fetish about cars. And in like the opening scene, like actually, okay, she does fuck a car. Like that's like a
How?
huge
Yep.
elaborate scene, and it is done artistically. It is not like I'll not say it is not, it is perverted, but it is, the perversion is, you can, it is horrific, I will say too. But it is a
See,
really,
how is not important. They are French. They'll
yes,
fuck anything which moves.
yes. But
Mm.
it is a really sweet movie somehow that I wasn't expecting. Like the lead character, like the girl in question, she is actually a horrible, horrible person. Like she's a serial killer who is going around murdering people in this car, and like, so you have immediately, you have no sympathy for her because she is doing just heinous things one after another, and she has a disgusting, everything in the movie. It is almost like a David Cronenberg body horror thing where there are horrific body shots that you are just but it's totally just like, that is like the sheen of it. It has a lot to say about gender, sexuality, and gender fluidity, because after that what happens is that this girl, she has a very, what I will say, like hermaphrodite appearance. So she disguises herself as a boy, and she's living with this fireman, and he's pretending to be his son, who is dead, and she is living with him,
Uh,
and she has somehow
Yeah,
convinced him that
right.
she is his daughter, his son. And I know everything I have said right now sounds bizarre, and you can like, how can this be sweet? But it suddenly becomes like a found family movie, and you're like, okay, these are horrible people, but they deserve love. And
Uh,
it just goes with it. Like, okay, it's like Shazam if Shazam's power was fucking cars. That is the
Warner
movie for
Brothers
you.
copyright strike.
And it is really, it becomes sweet towards the end, and I don't want to spoil anything after that, but yeah, it's ultimately it's a movie about love, but the most bizarre movie about love one person can make. So I also, this person, the director, she's Julia Durmont, and she previously made a movie called Raw, which is about a college student, a girl who goes to college and experiments with cannibalism. So like she likes making movies like this, and more power to her. Like I loved the 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So number now it's number three,
Number
right?
three.
Yeah, Rick.
Number three for me goes to The Worst Person in the World by Joachim Trier. When I first was reading about this film and the acclaim it was getting, I was like, okay, that's nice. And then I see that it's described as a romantic comedy drama. I'm like, really? A romantic comedy drama? How can it be so special? So I watched it, and it starts with an epilogue. I'm like, okay, there's an epilogue. There are 12 chapters. Sorry, it starts with a prologue. There are 12 chapters
Okay.
and there's an epilogue.
That's what I was thinking. It starts with
I'm,
an epilogue.
I'm just, I'm just so moved by its beauty because this film is really about humans. This is really about how people navigate through their lives, the emotions they face, the relationships they have in their way, and how some relationships don't work out while some do. And in the end, it's not about how these relationships affect us, it's about how we receive them. And it's a visual novel in every way. It's like watching a book, watching a comfort novel, almost like reading a light-hearted Murakami. So I think it was brilliant. And the lead actress, I cannot pronounce her name, so I will not even dare
Yeah.
to. She was she was fantastic, and she should have been nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. She was not. Yeah.
Okay, so my number three
Bakshi.
for the year is The Hand of the Dog by Paolo Sorrentino. It
The
is
Hand of God, you mean?
hand of, how did I say? What did I say?
You just said the hand of the dog.
Hand of the
Oh,
Oh
God.
okay.
my
So
God.
the
Hand of
power
the
of the
The
dog,
dog,
bro.
hand
hand
of the
of
dog.
God. It's like it got confused. So yeah, the hand of
Yeah.
God. It is a reference to Maradona, if you're wondering. And Maradona
Yeah.
actually plays a big role in the movie, but not in a way that you would assume. So I this movie, it took me a little time to get into it because it is a very tonally dissimilar movie. There, it is sometimes like a slapstick comedy. It is an autobiographical drama, and it is also a tragedy in the end of it. And you're constantly, this tone is being balanced. Like it's not like, okay, this is a tone and it will follow this tone. In a certain scene there will be a very tragic thing happening, but in the background there will be this really comical character. And that it is a tone that is, it will take you a little bit time to get into. But personally, the best part about this movie for me is like, it is an autobiographical drama and about by a filmmaker, and those are some things that always interest me. I know Belfast also came out this year, but I think that is a much more boring approach to a subject like this. What Paolo Sorrentino does, he takes this subject, I don't know. Somehow removes himself. Like that's the first thing I think you need to do when you're doing a study. He almost villainizes himself in the story when he's telling it, which is like a really brave thing to do in your own
Oh.
autobiography. And quickly, it is about a time in Naples in the 80s when the I don't know exactly the history behind it, but they were trying to buy Maradona for their club, Naples, their team,
Hmm.
and they did. And it is, they have not done it yet. It is the moment when there are rumors that Maradona is going to come, the hand of God will play for a small team like Naples. And so the people
Ah.
in the whole family, they're excited about it. It is a contrast. Their lives are depressing, but everyone has that one hope, and all of their hopes are into that Maradona will come and play for us. So when you're watching a movie like this, you think what will happen. Like it is building towards it, and Maradona come in the climax. But all then again, the movie defies you because Maradona is signed on in like 1 hour into the movie he comes. So you're like, okay, that purpose is fulfilled, where will the movie go now? And suddenly a lot of characters that have been built up die out of a sudden. There is no build up to it. And this character, this young man, who has so far not even thought about his life, like he wants to be a philosopher but he doesn't really understand it. And he has just been going through, he doesn't have any friends. He just stands back and observes these characters around him, and suddenly these characters are removed, taken away from him, and he finds him in a place and he discovers cinema. And that's when it becomes about the power of cinema, the movie. And there's like the end, there's this scene about why storytelling matters, and has to bring it out from himself. He has an interaction with a famous Italian director. He first thinks it's Fellini, but it's not. Funny, it starts funny, but then it becomes like really deep. Like he's asking, why do you want to become a filmmaker? And yeah, it I really connected with it in the end of it, through it all. And it's not a movie that can be described, because it's a tone poem. Basically, it's a tone poem that you just need to sit down and you to absorb it in. And in the end, like there are a lot of movies that are made about the love of cinema, and they're like, okay, cinema, just witness it. Like Hollywood does it a lot, and there is a sheen to it,
Yeah.
that it is glamorized. And this movie doesn't glamorize it at all. It is about what thing from a perspective that we can appreciate. Like it is love for cinema for a guy who has only seen pirated movies in his old TV screen for his whole life. So that
Mhm.
is a
Right.
really beautiful thing.
Right.
Uh,
Well, it's time for me. Number two.
Number
top
two.
Well,
number two.
number two goes to Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I think one of the most
Well,
anticipated films from 2021, especially
and they
since it was
delivered.
delayed,
And they delivered.
And
and
they
they delivered.
delivered.
Yes,
That is
yes.
the most
I,
important part, because it's delayed and it created so much hype that if anything was amiss,
Yeah,
if
people would be
yeah,
like, okay,
any
this sucks.
single point was amiss, it would have been a disaster.
The only
yeah,
reason Dune is not in my list is because I do not count this in one movie. When the second
Yeah.
part comes out, I will consider, like, it's the same as Lord of the Rings for me. I can never watch one. I watch them three. If I sit
it's
to
the
watch
same
Lord
with
of the
Kill Bill
Rings,
too.
yeah, I need to watch three. So that's why it is not in my list. I need to watch the entirety of it.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But I mean, for someone who
Yeah.
hasn't read the book, I mean, I started it, but then I realized this is not the right time to read it when I'm under so much stress. I have to read it when I'm completely free of everything. And it's so expansive, so I stopped reading it after some pages. Then I watched the film just a few weeks later in a theater, a clean one, unlike yours. I didn't get the 4D experience. It was a very clean theater. It was a good screen. But I mean, from the very beginning of it to Hans Zimmer's score pouring in, the brilliant sound mix and sound design, and the extraordinary performances by Timothy Chalamet, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin. I mean, it's like seeing something actually alive. It's like witnessing these people being in Arrakis, navigating through family politics to the and how these people their struggle and the way they navigate through power, greed. It was brilliant world building, and that too for a first part. I mean, since it's just only half of what it really is meant to be. So I think Dune
It's
was
not even half,
exceptional.
it's quarter. It's one
A
third of it.
quarter, right?
One
Quarter,
third.
just a
Like there
drop in
is,
the ocean, right?
Yeah.
yeah, just a drop in the
They
ocean.
were really smart in adapting it the way they are doing it,
Yeah.
because Dune, okay, it is almost unadaptable. If you read
No,
it,
they
it is
actually
almost
learned from the
unadaptable.
first Dune.
Yeah, they
They
learned it.
they learned it from the first
Yeah, they
Dune.
had a lot of time to learn and make something better,
Yeah, so the
Uh,
way
thing
way
with
better
the
than it has
Dune
been
book
done.
is the first 200 pages, the story does not begin. The
yeah.
story begins after
This
200 pages. The first 200 pages are history that you will have to go through.
yes, the story begins after the Paul meets
Ha,
that girl. Actually, that's the mane,
they
beginning
Paul
of the
meeting
story,
Chani
like
is the
actual plot.
beginning of the plot of
Actual,
Dune.
yeah, the plot, yes. And the big other mane, before that was all mane is telling you
It's
about
it's
about
world
what is
building,
going
and
on
it is
and
brilliant
what will,
world building.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
It
mean,
is
Denis Villeneuve, he did it
anything
with the Blade Runner 2049, and
exactly.
it was expected that he would deliver in as well.
In terms of world building, it is the best thing that has come out since Lord of the Rings period. No movie
Wow,
comes close.
that is high praise. That's high praise.
the
I don't think anything competes.
recently, because adaptation is a very risky thing.
I'm not talking about adaptation,
Because
I'm talking about world building, because the world of Dune
yeah,
is so complex. To get the audience to understand what is happening in just one movie is tremendous feat.
yeah, and another thing about all this, let's talk about adaptation only because it is an adaptation, and the way it is
We
described,
should.
and when you read the book, your thought process is different from mine, right?
Yeah.
I think about this structure as different, and you think about that structure differently. Like the same thing. I have
Huh.
a different visualization in my head. So to bring a proper ground, a proper visualization ground in that thing, so that everyone can actually, acha, that's that. I can relate to my visualization. What I visualized is similar to that. That's a big risk for every director who actually wants to adapt a story, story or novel, and
Speaking of
especially in science
adaptations,
sci-fi.
so speaking of adaptations, my number two is also an adaptation of an ancient Arthurian legend. It's the Green Knight. And like you're saying, when you're adapting, when you read something, everyone has a very different take. And I don't think
Yeah,
any movie exemplifies that point more than this. Like, I don't think if I ever read an Arthurian legend, this is my take. This would be my take on it. And David Lowry has such an interesting take on the subject that when I watched The Green Knight, it was not my favorite thing in the world. But I have had the time and the luxury of letting it marinate in my head since. And just the themes in that movie have sort of ingrained themselves in my brain since. Like, I was traveling and I was seeing landscape, and I was just, those landscapes matched the landscape from Green Knight, and I was just imagining those scenes and those ideas about honor, about time. They are universal. I think David Lowry did that same thing with a ghost story, and he does that in Green Knight too. Like, there are, these are big universal questions, and he tackles them without saying anything through filmmaking, and it's a tremendous feat. Like, okay, I know this has probably been talked about a lot, but that one single 360-degree shot in Green Knight in the middle where he's tied to that tree,
mm,
and with every 45-degree
Yes,
turn, the season is changing, the time is changing, you see him die, you see him resurrect, and it, in that
right,
5 minutes,
right.
it says everything it needs to say. And so, and that scene, like I said, when I saw it, I was like, what is happening? I don't know what is happening. But since 6 months I have seen it, I have thought about it, and I have had so many interpretations of it. I don't think any other movie last year has that effect on me. So for that, this is my number two.
Cool,
okay,
cool.
The main event.
now for the main event, of course you can say about
Right,
that.
right,
Rick, what is your
right.
number one pick?
My number one pick is hands down Drive My Car by Ryusuke Hamaguchi.
Yeah,
Well,
we
when
saw
this
that
movie
coming.
was announced, when this movie was announced, I no one was more excited than me. They were adapting Drive My Car, the short story by Haruki Murakami from his collection Men Without Women, which is one of my most favorite books of all time. I've read it like, I don't know, 5, 6 times, especially Drive My Car being my most favorite short story. And when I started watching it, I was like, wow, this is what Murakami truly represents. This silence, this melancholic loneliness within these characters, these scenes where there isn't any form, where there isn't any big revelation, where there aren't big monologues or dialogues by one single actor. It's just how conversations or how awkward people truly are. It's silent, it's slow, and it burns in every single scene, in every single sequence. I mean, the sequence when you know the two protagonists. I forgot the names of the characters, but anyways, when the two protagonists they are in the car and they're share that, then they're smoking and they lay their hands at the
Sunroof.
top. Yeah, yeah.
That is beautiful.
It's
That is
like being in the
poetry.
car with them. Yeah, like you're on the back seat, you're watching them. So, and this film, the fact that it has 3 hours of runtime, it's exceptional because I didn't even feel that it was 3 hours. It just started and I just dissolved into it. I was in Japan at that moment, and I can never forget this experience. I have to watch this film over and over again. It's brilliant. It's beautiful.
Okay. Now,
Uh,
lastly, Bakchi, your number one.
okay, so my number one of the year is, it's a very personal pick for me. It's Come On, Come On. Uh, I,
Yes.
for me, movies when I watch it, the most important thing is that the personal hit, where they're hitting me on the feels, and Come On hit me in a way that most movies don't. And I know when I look back, this is probably the movie I will probably watch the most number of times, because it's like it's a very comforting movie to watch. It's hopeful. It is not hopeful in those cheesy hopeful, like, okay, life is so bright and beautiful. No, it is nihilistically hopeful. It acknowledges all the problems of our modern world, but it and the end, still shows you a way to live in it, and it is beautiful. Like, there's a documentary aspect to it, like where Joaquin Phoenix's character goes around and interviews children, and he asks him such brilliant questions about what you see the future is like. And you see, like, like, I think a question that has popped up in a lot of movies recently is, why should we keep having kids when the world is only declining? And that's a question I think personally a lot of people of our generations also have. Like, if nothing is good in this life, in this current scenario, everything is going, the future is uncertain, the future is only going to get worse. So do you want to torture a life form by bringing them into this world? And there can be two ways of going about it. I have seen a couple of movies a few years back, they take a very hard on approach to it, and like, but this movie does it so brilliantly because it is still hopeful. Like I said, it is asking the children about it rather than asking the parents what they think. And the children, when you listen to their perspective, they have so, like, we do not expect children to have smart responses, but when you treat them like adults and ask them adult questions, you just see how much knowledgeable they actually are and how much they think, even more than humans, like adults to an extent, because our opinion is gauged by a lot of things. We have read a lot, we have witnessed a lot of things, and our opinion is somehow, and their opinion is pure. And that's why the dynamic between the kid and Joaquin Phoenix becomes so beautiful, because they have an adult relationship in the movie, and it is the most beautiful. And that scene where they're in the bed and he's like, you will not remember this because this is just a speck in your small
I
life. And
cried at that
I
scene.
cried.
I cried.
And it reminded me of all those people who, when I was young, I might have spent a day with, and I don't even
Yeah.
remember those days, but they are living in someone's memories. And that's what I'm saying, like those moments, even if life is, even if the future is uncertain, those memories exist. And that is the hopefulness of this movie I'm talking about. So yeah, this movie like destroyed me personally. When I watched it, I had a grin the entire time I was watching it, and I loved it. I will recommend, like, and this is like other movies in my list. I will not recommend people to watch Titan. I will not recommend people to watch The Power of the Dog. I will recommend Come On to everyone. Everyone should watch Come
Because
On.
it is an essential
It is
film.
an
It is a
essential film.
really essential film.
It is essential for parenting. It is essential for the times we live in. It is really something beautiful that we all must appreciate in this time.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Now, since the Oscar nomination of 2022 has already been announced recently, so we decided it would be a fun to pitch in our favorite nominations and decide who gave the best performance in the following categories. It's just like, yeah, we do it our way. We'll be doing it our way, and technical categories don't matter because they suck. So first up, we
Okay,
go.
that's a diss. That's a real diss.
Hey, no offense to all
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
technicians
yeah,
and sound designers. Please,
yeah.
this is
yeah,
But you
we
suck.
love
we're,
you,
we're
But
not
but
you
that,
serious.
but
you'll
yeah, we, yeah.
We love you, but you
We
suck.
love you, but that sucks. Yeah. Oh, fuck you. Bleep that out.
No, please don't say that. No. Okay, let's move on. Move on.
Yeah,
Let's
Yes.
move on.
just pretend that did not
The
happen.
first category, we go on for the best cinematography of the last year. What's all your pitches?
Uh, Rick, start maybe.
Best cinematography.
And go.
Well,
Yeah.
very hard. Well, I mean, I think it's obvious on whom I want to win, and that's The Tragedy of Macbeth by Joel Cohen. I think
Okay.
that film captured it so well. I mean, it's like an ode to the
Yeah.
Orson Welles adaptation of 1948, and also the 1957 adaptation of Akira Kurosawa's The Throne of Blood. So it captures the spirit of both these black and white vintage Macbeth adaptations, and it also brings a sense of originality to what Shakespeare really represents: the grim, the ugliness, the gut wrenching association of these characters kind of being in this crisis. So I think Tragedy of Macbeth did it brilliantly, and also I would also say, I mean, it's obvious, Dune. So these are my two
Yeah.
picks for best cinematography.
Uh, Nandini,
Yeah,
what's
as
about
Rick
you?
said, for the lack of a better, for the lack of watching better movies, I would also say Dune because that was a cinematic experience for me to watch it in an IMAX and full volume thingy. I was mesmerized. I have never seen anything. I could not imagine that they could adapt it so well from the previous version.
Yeah.
And I really
No, no,
like
don't talk. We don't
cinematography.
talk about previous
Yeah,
version
we don't talk
of
about that.
Dune.
I love
We
David
don't
Oh
Lynch,
talk
my,
about
but
that.
not we don't talk
Yeah.
about that
my,
one.
Yeah, he shouldn't
yeah.
have done.
That,
He shouldn't have done.
No, he
if
should
I
have. That
say
is
that
a
suck,
interesting
yeah.
cultural artifact to look at.
If
Yeah,
we,
I
Oh my
mean,
if I,
God.
it's
s-
camp cinema.
Yeah,
Camp
Yeah.
cinema.
it is peak camp cinema.
if we
So
say
yeah,
that
Dune.
it sucked, David Lynch that earlier
Okay, it
Dune
is not
sucked, man.
directed by David Lynch, by the way. It is directed by a guy called, again, I forgot. How can I
But
forget
David
this?
Lynch is like
How can I forget
heavily.
this?
You don't need
Muhammad,
to
Huh?
the guy who wrote
remember.
the book.
Okay, just this is not a part of the podcast, but what is the
Anyway,
name of that guy? Like when
Sarge.
directors don't want their name to be attached to a movie, then his name is always attached to that movie. Like so, Dune has that. Dune, in the movie, if you watch the non-theatrical cuts, it says it does not say directed by David Lynch. It says directed by something like it's something Newman or something like that.
Abbas Mastan.
No, wait a second.
that's
Oh,
my
I'm typing in the wrong keyboard.
oh my God, you have so many keyboard.
The Dune effect, David Lynch effect,
Hey, show me your keyboard collection. How many
Alan
keyboards
Smithy.
do you have?
Alan Smithy.
Alan Smith.
Ah, right,
Alan
that
Smithy.
guy.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very background guy. No offense, no offense, no offense.
Oh, to all the Allens out there, please
Oh no.
take it.
Alan.
Yeah.
I just when I hear the word Alan, I just remember that Jurassic Park 3, that raptor going, Alan, Alan. You know that scene?
Yeah.
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 Sona Bakchi, your
Okay,
best
so
pick for this year's.
since I'm currently sitting in Arrakis, I would just say that I think Greg Fraser did a really good job in capturing the atmosphere around here. I think he was able to do the through texture. He was able to capture the heat. I think that is a very
Yeah.
very hard thing to do, and so I'd say
The
he
heat and the
deserves the
dryness
win.
of the dune.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he dryness and
Especially since you watched it in a theater which was unclean. So, the
yeah,
4D
that's
experience
that's
is
true.
not that.
I did watch it in a theater that was
Oh,
extremely dirty, and I watched it thirsty. Like I hadn't drank water since like morning. I had to leave early for some reason, and I had an evening show, and I was like, but I didn't want to pay for Coke. Like I was like, I won't pay for theater Coke. I am going to remain thirsty, and that was COVID times, so they were not giving out free drinking water either. So yeah, it was like immersive experience to the next level.
Yeah,
But also, Tragedy
undoubtedly.
of
so
Macbeth was amazing. Spencer too. I think Spencer had great cinematography. But yeah, if for win, I would say Greg Fraser should take it. I think.
so collectively we think Dune wins it.
Yeah, our pick is
So the
Dune.
next, yeah. So next is best editing. Well, it's a
Ooh.
Just to piss people off, don't look up.
Undoubtedly, the
Yes,
next Bohemian Rhapsody.
then we can make
I'm
a
glad
video
you
essay
didn't say
out of
No
it,
Way Home.
and we will get views.
No Way Home.
No way,
No,
no way
No
home
Way Home.
actually has the worst editing I have seen in a big budget movie. It's like, but I get it, but
yeah.
still,
No.
I don't
What
know
did she
how.
say? Did she say something else? I don't understand. No.
Who are
No,
nominated this
say
year
it,
for
say
best
it.
editing, anyways?
Yeah. Yeah. What are the nominees?
I don't know,
What are
but
the
Let's
nominees?
even outside
see.
nominations, I
I
don't.
mean, if I see.
There's nothing like particularly flashy that's coming to my head right now that I think like greatly
Yeah,
edited.
there
Yeah.
is Belfast, there is Dune,
Again,
there's
I would say
Power of the
like
Dog.
Dune. Dune has that, those
Yeah.
when he has those memory sequences, they're brilliantly edited to the sound, and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Dune is a visual treat, you know.
yeah,
Everything about it is like you have to see it to enjoy it. Your eyes needs to be you have perfect eyes to see it.
Uh-huh.
Cut.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and there is Tick Tick Boom,
tick tick
Dune,
boom.
Don't Look Up, King Richard, The Power of
Don't
the
look
Dog,
up
and Tick
my.
Tick Boom.
Don't Look Up is nominated
Oh,
actually. I was
yes,
joking.
there
You didn't
is.
know.
I
You
was
didn't
joking.
know.
There
I was
is.
Yeah,
There
joking.
it
is.
is. It is nominated for Best Picture
Okay,
and
then
Best Editing.
it should win. It should win best editing. I just want to see the Twitter conversation after that.
I
Yes.
just want
The-
that La La Land thing to happen with the Don't Look Up and whatever movie. I don't care. I just want
Yeah,
that La
best
La
and the
thing to
Best Picture
happen.
goes to Don't Look
Don't
Up.
Look
Oh
Up.
no,
Don't Look
sorry.
Up.
Sorry.
The
Leonardo
Oscar's
gives
gonna get cancelled.
yeah.
They
Leonardo
should
will
at
give
this
his
point.
best performance on stage that day.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't
Then
look
the
up.
next. Yeah. Okay.
Look up. Okay.
Okay.
Nandini,
Don't Look Up wins it.
Nandini.
Look up.
Oh,
Don't
Don't
look
look
up.
Don't
up.
Look
Don't
Up
look up.
wins it.
Definitely.
don't look up.
Okay.
Yes.
Best score,
Best score.
I
Dune.
guess.
Dune.
Dune.
I don't think
Well,
it's a
I was waiting for
okay.
it.
I will say this. John, if there is like a award for like special achievement in scoring, I think Johnny Greenwood should take it for Spencer and Powers of the Dog
And the
combined.
Power of the Dog.
Combined. They like two amazing movies in the same month. But it is Hans Zimmer's year. Like I don't think anybody else will take it,
Yeah.
honestly. The Dune score is
I
That
still
epic.
believe that Johnny Greenwood would win for the Power of the
Johnny
Dog.
Greenwood will win.
It is a really
I
strong
will
contender.
love it. I am a hardcore Johnny Greenwood fan. Like I listen
Yeah.
to him, like his guitar solos are my like favorite thing to listen to. So I would love it if he wins. But I still feel like it will go to Hans Zimmer this year.
Hans Zimmer is, I guess, Hans Zimmer is literally bored of Oscars right now. He doesn't have enough cabinet for it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, actually, he only won one Oscar.
Yeah. I think he Lion King or something did no he won
Yeah,
Blade
it
Runner
was
too,
not
right?
even that good.
He won
No,
Blade
no,
Runner
he,
too. Blade Runner
yeah, he won.
2049. He won.
He didn't.
So who won
No,
that year? He won for Blade Runner 2049. I
someone
remember it.
else. No, he didn't.
My pick is also Dune because I'm very biased for Pearl's Dream. I really love that. I
I
used
love
to
that.
listen
I
to
love
it
that too. And I love the
before I used to
bagpipes.
fall asleep.
I love the
Yeah.
bagpipes. The bagpipes are amazing.
He
I
does
will
such a
just go
good
to
job with
war for
the
that bagpipe.
main. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So
How many?
who do we want to win this one?
Dune. Of
Like,
course, Dune
Dune.
wins.
Dune.
Okay,
I
Dune.
still want Johnny Greenwood.
I am actually I would love both honestly. Although I actually personally like the Spencer score more than the Power of the Dog score.
Fair.
Okay, next category.
Oh no, The Dark Knight. Hans Zimmer won for The Dark Knight, right?
He
No,
didn't.
he didn't. I think he didn't. But
He
I
didn't.
think Blade Runner 2049 won. But I think
I
he was
don't.
he had a collaborator in that one.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
only won
with
for Lion
with the
King.
other guy. He
Yeah.
collaborated with that guy who did the score for Equalizer.
What?
Hans Zimmer
Okay.
is nominated for how many? Holy
He should be
shit.
nominated
I
for a
don't know,
lot,
15,
lot, lot.
16.
Two,
He's
three,
nominated for in every
five,
year, I think.
It's
six,
like he's
seven,
like
eight,
same as
nine,
Roger
ten,
Deakins, I
11,
think.
12.
He gets a nomination
He
every year.
was nominated for 12 Oscars.
I don't expect any
Say,
less. Okay,
yeah,
let's
and Dune is pending.
yeah.
Blade Runner
Let's
2049 didn't win. The Shape of Water won that year.
that's
Yeah.
criminal. That's criminal.
That's cringe. That's cringe. Shape of
20
Water score was not even good. I don't even remember it.
I don't know how you can watch that seawall scene and not give it the Oscar immediately for score.
I mean, Interstellar
Yeah.
should have also won in 2014, but they gave it to, the Grand Budapest Hotel. And it was like, what? That's just.
Yeah. Okay. The next is Best Director. This is a debatable thing.
Okay,
Uh,
just for when talking about Oscars, how is Denny not nominated?
How is he not nominated?
Like,
Yes.
do they think that a
Yes.
movie made itself? Like, you can nominate it for every category and you do not have it for the best director. Like, who made that movie? Like, who
Who didn't
made
get
all those
nominated?
other categories? No, he did not.
Denis Villeneuve. He didn't get nominated for Best Director. I mean, God, the Oscars
Oscars.
must really hate him for not nominating for Best
So,
Director.
from the ones who
O-
got nominated, I would say Jane Campion should win. I personally feel.
Oscar.
Who are
Oscars
the
going
nominees
around like
for Best
Grammy.
Director?
Oh, I think Drive My Car's director also got nominated, right?
Ryusuke Hamaguchi. He did.
Yeah,
Hamaguchi,
I
yeah.
think he is
Hamaguchi got
nominated.
nominated.
Hamaguchi got nominated, yeah.
I don't know who's nominated. Who's nominated?
Okay, let's
KK
forget the
Ashwin.
nominations now. Who is your like personally? Who would you like to win?
Oh,
Yeah.
fine. See, Pablo Larraín. I don't know. I'm very biased.
No,
Pablo Larraín. Spencer.
I would like to like it to go to David Lowry for Green Knight. I think just there are some scenes in that movie that are gutsy enough that I just want to give it to him for that.
Okay,
David
yeah.
Lowry.
Well, I get it. I get that.
Joachim Trier
Uh,
for the worst person in the world for me.
I haven't
Should
seen
win the
that
Best
one.
Director.
I want to see that movie a lot. I didn't get the
Oh,
time.
the Norwegian one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, well, Paul Thomas Anderson called it the worst person in the world is the best
I saw that one.
in the world. Yeah.
Steven
Next.
Spielberg is also nominated for the Best
Oh, for
Director.
what? Oh,
West
for
Side Story.
West Side
West
Story.
Side
Yeah.
Story.
I
That's a
personally did not
formality.
care for
Put
West
at a
Side Story.
formality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like nominating Denzel Washington for Best Actor. He was good,
Yes.
but not Oscar worthy.
Yes.
Kenneth is also for
No, 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 no.
Belfast.
Please no.
Belfast. I haven't
Please
watched
no.
Belfast.
He's
Belfast.
nominated for
Okay, okay.
Belfast.
Belfast is a mediocre film. I don't care what anyone says, how good it is. It is really, really
Kenneth
mediocre.
Branagh is a mediocre director, period.
Yes, yes. He's a great actor, but a mediocre director.
Yeah, he's
as
a
always.
great actor. I will agree with
I
that, but a
also.
mediocre director in every way.
Okay,
Uh,
what's next?
what's next? Oh my God. আচ্ছা 5:30 তো বাজে
Yes, time
Yeah,
is over.
তাড়াতাড়ি কর.
আচ্ছা
Actor save
next
up.
is the best supporting actor. Best
Best
supporting
supporting
actor.
actor.
I thought about this one, okay, and I will choosing Sylvester Stallone.
Which movie?
The Suicide Squad.
Oh, hey, I
Yeah.
respect. I love King Shark.
Yeah,
I love King Shark.
he steals the movie, and I'm choosing Sylvester Stallone for that one.
Fair, fair, fair.
Okay.
Coco Miura
Rick?
from Drive My Car. She was brilliant. I mean, it's not
Agree.
enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Agree,
Enough
agree.
compliments are not enough given to her. She was brilliant.
I have no idea who I would choose. Literally zero. I mean, I think I would choose Idris Elba. For some reason, I really liked his father figure in Suicide
But is
Squad.
he like supporting actor? I mean, he would be considered as a
Yeah.
lead, I guess.
I don't know. Is he?
Yeah.
Who is the lead there? I don't know. Maybe he is. Yeah.
I think he'd be considered as a lead.
Okay. So I don't have any like. I would actually say Judi Dench, but then I didn't like the movie, so
Belfast.
yeah, I don't know.
She
So
was
yeah.
brilliant.
I
She
have
was
no.
brilliant.
Yeah,
in Belfast,
Belfast
yeah.
has a nomination. Kieran
Yeah.
Hinz. Kieran
Yeah, I
Hinz
think
got a
Judi Dench has
nomination.
a nomination for supporting
No,
actress, but
actress,
no.
I guess.
Okay, so
We are
this.
Oh,
talking about
acha.
the
No,
actors.
no,
Sorry.
just supporting,
Oh,
I
I
guess.
said an actress.
Oh
Okay,
my
No,
god.
just keep it
sorry.
best actor, actress
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
can.
like
Yeah,
combined. Yeah, I don't think we
Power
have
of the
anything.
Gender
Dogs got
gender neutral, you know that.
two.
okay, best actor female, I say Tokomura. Best actor male, let's see. I guess Jesse Plemons for the Power of the Dog. I mean, I really loved him.
Yeah.
He got a
Best
nomination.
best
Oh,
actor male for me.
wait, Judas and the Black
Supporting.
Messiah. We are counting this year, right?
Yeah,
No, but
this
it
year.
already got nominated earlier, na.
Oh,
So
okay, okay,
it's
okay,
not counted.
okay. Because then it will be Daniel Kaluuya for me.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got 10 minutes. Yeah, running very
Okay.
inside 10 minutes.
Come
Best
on, come on,
actor
come on.
actress. Let's get through it.
Yes.
And actor actress.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a undecided thing. Okay. Like best actor actress is always undecided. You actually like someone better than the actual supporting actor. Who can be actually who's actually nominated. It's about your preferences, the personal preferences. If you think about that.
uh, God, it's hard. It's been a hard year.
Yeah.
I want both Benedict and Andrew to win. Benedict Cumberbatch,
Same.
Andrew
And
Garfield.
it's Andrew
I
for me. And
I
it's
want
Tick
both.
Tick Boom, Garfield, period. Goodbye.
I want both of them to win, but outside of nominations, I really wanted Nick Cage to get a nomination this year because
Yes,
his
yes, he
performance in
deserved.
Click broke me. Like that scene when he's in the restaurant who is talking to his junior, and also in the last scene when he's handed that
Yeah.
information. I think
That he
it's
didn't need the pig
yes,
for
yes,
yeah.
it's his best work in years, and he should have at least gotten a nomination because he
Yep.
is my number one of the year if I had to had an Oscar.
Oh,
And from the
okay.
ones who
The
are
next
nominated, Andrew Garfield because
is Andy
biasness.
Garfield nominated?
Of
Yes,
course
he
he
Of
is.
is.
course he is.
Yes, of course. Oh my god.
People would have rioted if he wasn't.
Yes, yes, yes.
20. Look, I'm looking at the chart for 2022. There is for best supporting actor.
No,
Andrew Garfield is not
best
nominated.
actor we're talking
Best
about.
Best
leading actor.
actor.
Leading actor.
Best leading
Oh,
actor.
oh, leading actor. I
Yeah.
haven't got to that part.
চলে যা এবার actress
Okay,
চলে
we
যা
are already for the for, for the
Well,
best
best
actor.
leading
We got
actress. I think it's very obvious. Kristen Stewart.
same. I will
yeah.
Kristen
Yes,
Stewart for me
please.
too.
She would be
Wait,
robbed if she doesn't get
yes.
please. Like
And she was not
And
going to
robbed.
get
like if
nominated.
by a tiny chance, like by a
She was
tiny
not going to get
chance,
nominated.
was the
She
other
actually
nominee?
took she took actually Lady Gaga's spot. Like the predictions were that Lady Gaga would get in, but she took Lady Gaga's spot and she got in the nominations.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
If
She
Lady
isn't
Gaga would have
nominated
been
for
nominated,
SAG.
no Italians would have attended the Oscars that night.
She isn't nominated for a SAG.
Yeah, she's been nominated for every major award, like
Yes.
show except.
And Kristen Stewart hasn't been nominated anywhere except the Oscars.
Yeah, that shows how powerful she is.
I think she won't
God bless
win
the
though. I
Academy.
think Nicole Kidman will win. Like
There is a chance Nicole Kidman might win.
and it will be an upset, like because Kristen Stewart deserves it.
Yeah.
The close-ups in that movie
Uh,
are amazing.
Yep.
so
She
the
will be
lastly,
transformed.
yeah, and lastly, Jabo,
চলে যা
Yes.
lastly the best picture, and okay,
Ugh,
Rick, you go first.
no.
You go
Ugh,
first.
so hard. I don't even know. Ugh. I have like three
Only one.
major.
I
I
need
want
only
only
one.
three to win.
I don't care about how many you say. I only need one from you.
Ugh. Fine. Drive
Go
My
for
Car.
it. Don't look.
Best picture.
Drive my car.
Uh, drive my car. Okay, Bakti.
don't look up.
That's the right answer.
Oh,
That's the right answer.
Like what if we
okay.
talk about movies, what are they supposed to do? They are supposed to engage us in a conversation, and what movie has
Yep.
engaged us in more conversation than Don't Look Up this year?
So many conversations.
So many conversations, so many talking points. Like it is a movie that is talking about the real issue. Like who cares about the theater artist anymore in 2021?
Yeah, I mean,
We should
the
be
Oscar
making
jury, when they
movies.
see a movie with social commentary,
Yes.
oh my God, it is social commentary. It is relevant to our
Camp.
society.
Rick doing camp. Oh my god.
In all
And
seriousness,
Nandini, what's
Drive My Car for me too.
Yes,
okay?
thank you.
Well, if
Drive
I,
marker
if
2 points for Nandini.
but I don't know if I haven't watched Drive My Car, so you guys know what I'm going to say. I mean, it's not even nominated for best film, but
Are you
okay,
going to say
okay, I'll
Spencer again?
no, I'm not going to
Spencer
say.
is
I know,
nominated, right? Spencer should be
no, no, it's
nominated.
No,
not.
it is
Spencer is
not.
not
Spencer is
nominated.
not
It should
nominated.
be.
So I mean, out of all the films that are nominated, I've only probably watched. I don't want to say it. Dune. I don't want to say it, but yeah, Dune.
Fair,
Dune is
fair.
nominated.
Drive My Car
Okay.
probably won't win. And if it is anything else,
Yeah.
I want it to be Dune because it
Yeah, true.
deserves to be respected because it is a
Well, Power of the
massive
Dog might
undertaking.
also win.
I
Power of the
think
Dog
Power
is
of the
will
Dog.
most likely win. It is
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
the
Power of the
front
Dog is
runner, I
more
think, this
likely
year.
to win.
Best screenplay. Have we talked about that?
Technical categories don't matter.
No.
Come on,
Yeah.
screenplay. Yeah.
Cut. So
So with
we have
that, just end it with like what you are looking forward to in 2022, I guess. Rick and Somak.
The Batman.
yeah.
Yes,
Batman is like
Batman.
I think we're all looking forward to that. Like I'm just counting
That
days
is
Batman till Batman
undoubtedly.
comes out.
I mean, we don't need to talk about Batman because Batman,
Exactly.
of course, like what the fuck you're even doing if you're not even talking about
Yeah,
Batman?
like if you're not
Like
excited about
you're not
Batman, we cannot
alive,
be
brother.
friends.
No, you're not alive, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
need to be
fact
alive.
that
You need
that it is directed by Matt Reeves,
Yes.
one of the best
and
directors
Matrix
currently
is amazing.
working.
And just if you
I
see the
mean,
behind
if
the
people
scenes,
have seen the Planet of the Apes trilogy,
yes,
and
yes.
if they, especially if they've seen the Dawn of the
War of the
Planet of
World.
the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes, he's exceptional when it comes to creating these raw emotions
And saying things
in
without
a
saying
dark,
anything.
grim environment. Exactly, and that too in a PG-13 rating.
Yes.
He doesn't have to be Zack Snyder. He
Ha.
doesn't need an R rating to make it dark and so edgy. No, he doesn't
He,
need that.
he doesn't try to be edgy at
Violence.
all. He's
Yeah,
just raw in
because
this
it's
portrayal of violence.
mature.
Yes.
It's really
Yes.
mature.
It gives them the characters
And
that
it's the
respect. So
kind of thing which will be liked by a 10-year-old kid, and it's the kind of thing which will also be liked by a 40-year-old person. It it's incredible what he's done throughout his filmography. I mean, from Cloverfield to the Planet of the Apes trilogy, and now he's doing Batman. So I'm
yeah.
just so excited.
So yeah, there's Batman. There's a lot of Marvel, DC, the
I
popular stuff coming out
suddenly
this year. Lot of
yeah,
small movies too. Like
yeah.
About
suddenly
small
got
movies, I'm excited about this Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal movie which is
yeah,
coming
I
out. I
am.
forgot the title.
That is gonna be amazing. That is gonna
I
be
saw
so
the
much fun
trailer
in theater.
and I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God,
The
this is
just
like
the
so
title,
meta.
the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Massive talent. Yes,
Massive
yes,
talent.
yes.
Like that's the best title of any movie ever. Like it's not up for
Exactly.
debate. Also, there's this new movie. I think it's coming out
suddenly
next
I
month.
got a
Alex Garland's new movie. I love Alex Garland. I
Yes,
love
Men.
yeah.
Men. I'm
Ex
really excited for
Machina,
that.
one of the best science fiction films in the
Ex
history of
Machina
cinema.
and also Annihilation. I love Annihilation. It's
I gotta
like
see Annihilation.
it's Annihilation is
Oh,
like a modern version of Stalker with a feminist angle to it.
how
Oh.
about
It is that
listen,
good.
how about Andy Samberg as James Bond? Yeah, yes, I
Masterpiece.
got it.
Masterpiece.
I will
got
watch
it.
that. I will
I
watch
will-
that. I will watch that. I will.
Bro,
Yes.
it will be Johnny English ex James Bond.
Yes.
It will be Johnny English. I suddenly got that part about Andy
And
Samberg.
Rowan Atkinson will play it.
Yeah.
What do you
Very
need
perfect.
more?